Hi, it's Miles with Songbird, the Michelle Bird song in New York City. This article or this video cast is mostly about the author of the book, The Awakened Family. Her first name, Dr. Shefali. And she says, I take issue with some of what I heard her say on video podcasts. She says we should be like the river. The river goes over and around the rocks. Okay, she's saying that we try to move the rocks. We try to control the rocks. So my note to her is water, like in the river, wears away rock. It just takes a very long time to do it. Water is not harmless to the rocks, nor is it passive. Dr. Shefali says her daughter told her, "You cannot control me." If the parent cannot control the child, then the child cannot control the child, because, this is my comment, the child learns from the parent. Dr. Shefali is saying the parent learns from the child. I'm not saying the parent doesn't learn anything from the child, but I'm saying it is the parent's responsibility to teach the child as well. The Bible says, train up a child in the way it should grow or go, then when it is grown it will not depart from thee. Okay, so then I say, so who will control the child? Dr. Shefali said her child is probably at a music festival getting high. Dr. Shefali laughed, and the audience snickered too at her comment and her admission. So her child is being controlled by mind-altering drugs. So the child's mind is being altered in ways no one can predict. LSD, for example, if that is her child's drug of choice, mimics psychosis, insanity, and sometimes leads the person who takes it to commit suicide. Are we supposed as parents to be indifferent, egoless, to whether our children kill themselves or not, Dr. Shefali? Just as a child says, "You cannot control me," she is asking, "You cannot control me? Then who or what can control me?" Jimi Hendrix did not grow up with the control, with the love of a mother. So when it was time for him to control his mind, altering drug taking, he couldn't do it. He had no script of a disapproval of mother to taking drugs. So one day he took so many drugs, he got so sick and vomited so hard, he choked on his own vomit and died. My children didn't do drugs because I got them into a private Quaker school where drug taking was at a minimal. So they made friends with children, with other teens who did positive things. My daughter, Robin Birdsong, her best friend had a beach property summer home. She and her friend would go to Fire Island, to the summer home on the weekends, and play in the water and breathe fresh air and see by natural light and be nurtured by nature. My son, Sing Birdsong, who had spent countless hours learning to master playing the guitar, by the time he became a teen, he was qualified to play in a jazz band at his school, Friends Seminary in Gramercy Park, New York City, Manhattan. Unlike public school, Friends had a great music director and music program. The director was Bob Rosen. He cared about the boys, and he cared about guiding them to provide music performances for the public's enjoyment. None of the band members used mind-altering drugs. They were too busy concentrating and enjoying making music. My children attended parties. They tasted alcohol and rejected it, and drugs. They had role models, parents who rejected mind-altering drugs and alcohol and eating dead animals, dead, foul-smelling fish, and disgusting, slimy eggs. Both of my children became vegetarians. My son was a vegetarian all his life. They graduated from Friends Seminary having had a successful transition from tween to teen. Friends had a flexible arts program, too. Robin was allowed to start a film club in her junior year. Also in her junior year, her class toured Italy. Having been Michelangelo in a past life, this trip nourished Robin's soul. With the money Robin earned singing background music with Stevie Wonder's children, Aisha and Keita, and Stevie's brother, Calvin's little girl, on an Eddie Murphy song at the recording studio in the old Studio 54 location. Singing Robin joined their classmates, used the money to join their classmates in weekend skiing. Robin also rappelled from the Friends Seminary school building. To rappel is to descend a vertical surface, especially a cliff face, by sliding down a rope with a device that provides friction. Their outdoors teacher Jack guided them most carefully. They were very fond of Jack. He was a young man, and he was good to them, and they liked him. Also, Robin got to participate in an exchange program. She attended a private boarding school in California. The favorite part for her was being able to take care of her own horse. I'm just checking to see how much time I have. At St. Francis of Assisi, Robin loved animals, and as Robin Birdsong still does love animals. Robin and Sing and I took horseback riding lessons when Robin was 3 and Sing was 5 years old near Fort Campbell, Kentucky, from a soldier's wife. My half-sister Helen Long got up early in the morning to drive us to the site, which I appreciate. When their father came to Clarksville to join us, Edwin Birdsong, he said charmingly, "I gotta smoke a joint," meaning of marijuana, "before I get up on that big motherfucker." I thought it was cute. I was just as afraid of the horse as Edwin, although I developed a liking for horses watching Roy Rogers with his horse Trigger, Elizabeth Taylor in the movie that I saw on TV, National Velvet. Then there was a TV show where the boy had a horse called Fury, and I admired Roy Rogers' wife, Dale Evans, carry her holstered gun and ride her horse. And I watched Annie Oakley, good with her guns and good at riding her horse. And horsewoman, U.S. First Lady Jackie Kennedy, the American Queen of Camelot, whose second husband, Greek shipping magnate Aristotle Onassis, dropped his longtime girlfriend, opera singer diva Maria Callas, to marry the more prestigious marriage, making a more prestigious marriage for an ambitious Capricorn like him could make. He married the widow of the king of Camelot, Jackie Kennedy. The king was Jack Kennedy. To make her, Jackie Kennedy Onassis, and buy her a stable of horses. Horses are the counterparts to man. I'm not surprised that Jackie Kennedy didn't fear horses. I once saw a photo of her as a child standing with her pet animal, a very high Great Dane. So she learned at an early age not to be afraid of large, trained animals. Dr. Shefali said, and man, like I said, horses are the counterpart to man, and man started as an ape, Michael Bublé, and he's been trained for the millions of years since he was Adam the ape, and now he's a trained and a very good man, Michael Bublé. He was also Elvis, Sinatra, and projection Michael Jackson, and George Harrison, Sam Cooke, and Jesse Belvin. Dr. Shefali said, she said to herself, why should I spend all this money on a private school for my daughter? So she sent her only child to public school. Singh once went to a public school, and the same day he and another friend he met in that public school, this is Singh Birdsong, my son. So that day they snuck away from school. Now I never had any trouble with Singh ever sneaking away from school when he attended PS 41 in the Greenwich Village School, but he went to IS 70 for a day, and like I said, he misbehaved, so I got him out of that school. Robin was attending a public school that was like a private school called the Clinton Program. So I took Singh out of that public school, IS 70, and put him in the Clinton Program for a year. He had attended St. Luke's prep school, private school in the village. And then we ran out of money. He was there on a scholarship, but we did have to pay some money. But his father didn't even have that money, so that's how he wound up in IS 70. And then from the Clinton program, I had him apply to Friends Seminary for school, because he was in a special program for bright, gifted minority students called Better Chance. So he got into Friends Seminary after that on a small scholarship. And Robin was, she took a test for prep. Both of them very hard programs to get into. They're for gifted minority students. She had to take an IQ test, all kind of tests, and plus she had to get recommendations from her teachers. And she got into prep finally, and got into Grace Church School. Then she graduated there, and then went to Friends Seminary and graduated there. Now Melanie, my youngest daughter, got into a program for gifted minority students called Early Steps. So she got into Friends Seminary when she was 4 years old. Okay, now, we were paupers. Where there's a will, there's a way, however. Singh said, I have a can-do spirit. He said this recently. Told Robin. So I taught my children from the age of 3 or 4 months on. I remember Singh and his father and I were riding in a bargain car. Well, let me just tell this before I get into the car. And we saw an airplane. I saw an airplane, and I touched it. Look, Singh, that's called an airplane in the sky. And that's what I did. I taught them as much as I could possibly teach them from that early age, and it really paid off, because they got into those programs for gifted minority students. And I know people who tried to get into those, children who tried to get into those programs and who weren't able to, because there was a lot of people wanting to get into those programs, and they had limited space. Okay, so we were riding in the bargain car we bought from Marge, Jerry B., the disc jockey at the largest amount of black listeners in New York City radio station WWRL. We bought a Carmen Ghia convertible Volkswagen for $1,500 from her. She wanted to buy a high-status car, an Audi. Marge was a biracial beauty with a full head of long, thick curls. She was tall but plump, so she couldn't sell her body as a model wearing clothes. But she was paid well for her hair, and she had marketable hands, so she was able to also be a hands model. Curvy supermodel Ashley Graham, who looks better in lingerie than skin and bones models, is changing the world of fashion by making being plump fashionable. A model is a status symbol, trophy wife. The wife of the United States President Donald Trump, Melania Trump, was a supermodel before she married him, and she speaks 5 languages, another status symbol attribute. Dr. Shefali says, don't be pro or against anything. We're all the same, not separate. Note, at our essence, we're spirit energy. But in these individual bodies, we have individual preferences. You mean I shouldn't like vanilla ice cream? I'm pro vanilla ice cream. I shouldn't be? That's ridiculous. Dr. Shefali is pro her husband. She was bragging, that some would say, that he supports her in all she does. Else she would not be able to do the work that she does. She is pro Oprah. Else she would not brag that Oprah said after interviewing for 30 years, Dr. Shefali is the best interview she's ever done. Asking questions is what Oprah does, called interviewing. Master of asking questions was Socrates. He started that. That's the Michelle Bird song. They stopped Socrates from asking questions by killing him, me, on trumped-up charges. That's the government, the narrative, the mainstream stopped them. Okay. Plato, who wrote about Socrates, is still a friend, a television friend. Mark Stein is his name now. He's a columnist, a YouTube podcaster, and a comedian, and an author. One day, he got up and stood close to the monitor and looked close at the TV so I would know he was talking to me. And he said, do the research. I'm watching him from my TV screen, you understand? And then he said, expose them. And that's talk and share. And that's what I do. I'm exposing Dr. Shefali. Just some of her contradictions and her hypocrisy. Dr. Shefali seems to be saying, I'm waiting for my copy. Okay, she seems to be saying, then I'm telling you that I'm waiting for my copy of the book she wrote, The Awakened Family, to arrive from eBay. eBay Bride, my daughter Robin Birdsong, New York Times bestseller, Amazon #1 caliber book, eBay Bride. It's funny. It has inside information about the rich, and the book is endlessly entertaining. Okay? And then about Mark Stein, Plato, there's a great online article that's entitled, Comedian Dennis Miller, Mark Stein was Plato, team up for a adorable, deplorable tour. It's by Patrice Wilding, staff member at mcitizensvoice.com. Published February 28, 2019. Check it out like a library book. Contains timeless information. The tour has ended before I knew it began. I hope these funny, brilliant brains, Mark Stein and Dennis Miller, do it again for 6 months next time, to a year or longer. but their family probably wouldn't want them to be away that long. Is Dr. Shefali saying we should exert no power in our parent-child relationships? I read, feel the truth, the energy, and I am what's called disparagingly was a hovel mother. My own husband, my second husband, Michael John Spear, great master of India, told me critically that I was giving my children too much presence, too much attention. It's only recently that I realized that Freud, the German psychiatrist Fritz Perls, Carl Jung's wife, and me unconsciously realized that I had 4 suicide patterns in my family. Singh had been King Saul, whose sons were killed in battle, and rather than be taken prisoner, he fell on his own sword to preserve his honor for his sons. Let me get that. Fell on his own. Where is that? Fell on his own sword. Robin has been Galileo, who was demoralized, being isolated under house arrest by the Inquisition of the all-powerful Catholic Church, and wanted to die from loneliness and a broken heart because he was telling the truth. He goes punished for telling the truth. A lot of people are punished nowadays for telling the truth. He had not contradicted the Bible. Galileo had not contradicted the Bible, but they would not listen to his defense. The Bible told us how to go to heaven, said Galileo, not how the heavens go. King James Version of the Bible. Robin Birdsong had been King James I and King James VI, whose mother, Mary Queen of Scots, D. Michelle Birdsong's friend Linda Llewellyn, had been beheaded for treason against the Virgin Queen of England, Elizabeth I, by her protectors. Elizabeth I was D. Michelle Birdsong. You see how it's all these dots are connected, all these people are connected. Melanie, even the enemies are connected as friends. The Mary Queen of Scots was my enemy. Now in this life, she was supposed to be my best friend. And she was for many years until she betrayed me. Melanie has been the tormented genius artist. Vincent van Gogh, that's Melanie. Okay. She was Vincent van Gogh. There's a beautiful song by Josh Groban, who was a projection of my grandson Seth Ranziger, who sings Vincent. It's called Starry, Starry Night. It's a beautiful song about Vincent van Gogh. Okay, my husband, Michael John Spear, great master, had been aborted by his master, who had promised to save him. She was my mother, Miss Frog, alcoholic projection of God, Baba G. Dr. Shefali self-effacingly admits that her ego has her working to save the world. I, too, daughter of the Father, the Son, am working to save the world. But I first tried to save my suicidal family, though I did not at the time consciously know they were suicidal. I only knew that it was critical that I give each talk and share therapy, psychoanalysis therapy, and stay in the moment therapy at all times. Except not having a therapist myself, I would have what is called nervous breakdowns from time to time from picking up the dispirited energy of my family members as I dragged them all over Manhattan, Kings Dominion, Virginia, Orlando, Florida, Disney World, to partake of whatever, and Disneyland in California, to partake of whatever all-enlivening events I could find in this world, working with very little money. We find enlivening events in libraries, parks, private schools, bookstores, skating rink, ice skating rink, bike riding, horseback riding, swimming, circus attending, Radio City Music Hall Christmas show, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, Greenwich Village Halloween Parade, until it was made hideous by the mentally disordered that started to dominate the parade. Then we look for enlivening events at the Cathedral of Church of St. John the Divine midnight service, singing Christmas carols on Christmas Eve, real pine-smelling Christmas trees in our home with gifts beneath it at Christmas time, a two-parent home, masculine and feminine, Sunday worship services, prayer and meditation by parents, jobs, part-time by mother when Melanie turned 5, lots of laughter between parents who have been George Burns and Gracie Allen, lots of music in our home, classical music. All 3 children studied the most difficult, most sublime musical instrument of all, the violin, as D. Michelle Birdsong has been Einstein, whose favorite activity after work as a metaphysician was to play the violin, and as Henry Ford, who created the Carnation, who had a deep fondness for the violin. The children, singing Robin, were taken to Greenwich House daycare in the West Village for a few hours daily so they could understand how to make and have friends. A home with photos of God, parents who had the same master, Jesus Christ, and who lived love for the Creator and for His creation. My mother taught me to do my best. I listened to my heart, not to experts like Dr. Shefali, and did my best. And today, when I look back over my life and my behavior, I can live at peace with myself. I always looked at my children as belonging to God, and I was just a caretaker. I've come to know that mothers are the guardian angels of the children, and husbands are the guardian angels of their wives, the mothers, and children are the dirt under the parents' feet, FEATS. Feel energy at Talk and Share. Feel energy at Talk and Share. Okay, so I'm gonna end this video because I'm running out of time, and I'll make a video of part 2 to tell you the rest of the story about my opinion of Dr. Shefali, author of The Awakened Family, a book I ordered from eBay and I'm waiting to read. I have heard her lecture on 3 or 4 different occasions, so that's what I'm commenting about, what she said during those lectures. Okay, so long until next video.